Check, check. Can you hear me now? Mango junkies in the house. Good now. How is it? Do I sound decent? I was in some space. Oh, on Telegram. More than decent. Yeah, that's what I hear. Mudhog. Oh, good. You guys made it back. Cool. I was in a Telegram chat, and somebody was saying it sounded like I was in an echo chamber or something. But most of the feedback I get from this about this mic is it's very good. So that's good to hear. Okay, cool. Um, well, unfortunately, I had to like recreate a whole new stream, and so I just used my keyboard. You saw made the title and all that. And so what I'm probably going to do is just go back, and I am on Twitter. I'll go back and edit all of that after we record this. So what about Twitter? Tell me, Twitter Spaces. I've never done that, and this is a. I thought I was doing this through like StreamYard. I've never streamed before. It's the Prairie Banana. The Prairie Banana, also on Twitter. But maybe I should have pulled up the StreamYard first and gone that route. So if you know, let me know. And since we're the only three guys in here, um, we can kind of go ahead and just get started. But let me know if I should be using StreamYard. I knew the potential for this being a train wreck was very high. But I'm glad you guys are patient. So what I was going to say, if there were other people in this stream, is put a one in the chat if you don't hold any cryptocurrency. Haha, right? And that's fine if you don't. But I recognize you guys, except for Mudhog, not so sure. Nice. How'd you see my name? You're not supposed to see my name. Shh. Put a two in the chat if you hold hex. Hex. And put a three if you hold Icosa or Hedron. Two. This is interesting because it's like a one-way communication and a three. Okay. Okay. What about Mudhog? You a two and a three? Do you hold Hex? Hex two in the chat. Icosa and Hedron three. I just kind of want to get a feel for where you guys are coming from. And if you're here just to like give me feedback on how I am doing this, since I've never done it before, I welcome that, and that's great. Mudhog might be busy. Okay. So again, pay attention. If I'm missing anything or any kind of feedback, just pay attention and give it to me, because I might be doing this again, perhaps, because I would really like this to be available for the new people, because I see new people coming into the chat all the time. Okay. Mudhog, two in the chat if you hold Hex, three if you hold Icosa or Hedron. Yeah, I do. So I'm in the north. It's dark outside. I have skylights here and there. And normally during the day, I can turn these overhead lights off and I'm more lit, but it's dark out. Okay. So you guys are both, you're probably both Hex guys, and you hold Icosa and Hedron, and you probably know more about it than I do. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started on the presentation. And remember, this is for, thank you, this is for new people. So with that in mind, if you would kind of critique me with that in mind, if you'd be so kind. And I am not the best. A, I'm not qualified to do this. B, I'm not the best at describing things. But I did premeditate this, and so hopefully it goes well. So I think it takes like 30 minutes. And then I have some resources at the end that you guys might be interested in. If you don't have them already, I got a calculator and some other stuff. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to run over security real quick, hex quickly, ICOSA, spend most of our time there, then Hedron, WATSA, auctions, and some miscellaneous stuff. Okay. So I'm not after friends, likes, or subs, any of that. But what I do want you to do, the way you can repay me is if you find somebody in the Telegram chat or you have a friend that has questions about this ecosystem, refer them to some educational material and help them to get to hit the ground running. So none of this is financial advice. Real quick on security, because I'm kind of big on it. Everybody should be using a hardware wallet. So, and that hardware wallet needs to come direct from the manufacturer. So there's an unbroken chain of custody. So manufacturer to you, got to come straight from them to you. Beware of scammers. They'll ask for your seed phrase and never give away your seed phrase. And they'll private message you in the Telegram chats and try to scam you out of your money. Alex, the founder of both ICOSA and Hedron, has a blue check and he will never private message you. But if Alex messages you privately and doesn't have a blue check, that's not him. Okay. Hex. We're gonna just briefly touch on the share rate, the hex share rate, because the share rate is very important in this whole system, hex, ICOSA, and Hedron. But I'm not the resident expert on hex for sure, even though I hold some. Yeah, security is key. The share rate. So when you buy hex and you stake it, you get what is called a T share. And when you end your stake, so when you stake your hex, it burns it, mints a T share. When you end your stake, you burn the T share and mint your hex. And in that process, when you end your stake, the T share ratchets up just a little bit. So as people enter the system and stake and end their hex stakes, that T share rate increases gradually over time. And I've personally seen it go from about 18,000 to now I think it's about 26.5. And the T shares are what we're after. Hex is great, but the T shares are more important, perhaps. They are, because the T shares print you hex every single day, and the T share you're going to is instrumental in the ICOSA and Hedron system as well. So what you need to know that when you make a hex stake, you get 5,555,000 Hedron per T share. So if you stake half a T, if you make half a T share, you get half of that Hedron. But it's like an airdrop. You get it for free. 5,555,000 Hedron per T share. Whenever you do stake hex, you need to consider that you can make two different types of stakes. What is called a native stake, or the original hex stake, where you can make an HSI, which is a hex stake instance, which is a hex stake wrapped in Hedron. And when you do that, you open up some advantages. Okay. Here are some of the advantages of an HSI. Portability, because you can tokenize that HSI and then it has an address and you can send it to another safer, secure wallet or a friend or a relative or anywhere you want. So there's a security advantage as well. You can sell that HSI on OpenSea, and it's a financial NFT earning hex every single day. Everybody's excited about NFTs. HSIs are financial NFTs that earn money. Plus, you can take an advance of Hedron from an HSI. So that 5,555,000 hedron, I didn't explain, but you earn that hedron incrementally every day. You don't have access to it. So on the first day, you'll have access to 1 day's worth of that hedron. But as that stake matures, you get access to every other day. But if you stake an HSI, on the other hand, you can advance all of the hedron. You can stake that hedron to earn ICOSA. Then you can in turn stake the ICOSA to earn both hedron and ICOSA. So like I said, you can tokenize it and send it to any address, including the ICOSA contract address, in exchange for ICOSA. So it's a pretty neat system. And we always recommend that if you're going to make an HSI, if you don't have any reason to make anything other than a Quattro Cinco, make a Quattro Cinco, which is a max length stake. And then if you did decide to sell it to the ICOSA contract, you get a 10% bonus of ICOSA, 10% more ICOSA. So, man, I was going to show you guys how to. I have like all these tabs pulled up, and like I have no idea how to share my screen, and I've been all over this thing here. I'm gonna have to look into that StreamYard and see how to do that, because I do not see it. Maybe you guys can tell me out the top of your head. Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys. Is that right? Tomorrow's the anniversary? Is it tomorrow? 25th? 25th? Gotta look for. Yeah, I looked around for screen share. I did not see it. When I was looking for the audio settings, I didn't see it, man. I guess I have to watch a video on this. Okay, gotta look for the screen share. Then I believe you pick the screen share. You know what I'm going to do, guys, is the link that I have. You guys have probably seen most of these sites. This is the ICOSA supply, look into Hedron, Hex model, Hex daily stats, all this stuff. There's a new, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I put it in the Telegram today. There's a new metric site, Hex, just strictly for Hex. If you follow Richard Hart on Twitter, he posted it on Twitter today. It's cool, and it'll be in the link. So I'll PM you guys a link. Okay. So bear with me as I go through this. Okay. So now we're going to talk about ICOSA. So ICOSA has the T-share in it 2 times. It has it in the buyback feature and the staking points that you earn for staking it. And I was going to show you guys this, but just quickly in the buyback feature, because when you send your HSI to the ICOSA contract to exchange it for ICOSA, you get ICOSA based on the advanceable hedron divided by the T-share rate of that day. So if you can imagine, if you send 1 T-shares worth, which is 5,555,000 hedron of advanceable hedron, and the T-share rate, remember I told you 18,000. If you divide 18,000 into that number, you get a bigger number than if you divided 25,000 into that number. So that's why the T-share rate is important. And then also you get when you stake your ICOSA. When you stake your ICOSA, I'm going to move this over here. Try to anyhow. Yes, because that way I can look at the DApp. When you stake your ICOSA, what you do is you get a thing called stake points, and it is maybe you can help me out. It's the it's how do you put it? You get stake points for sending your HSI to for staking ICOSA. You get stake points, and I had it memorized. It's probably in my notes. Sorry, guys. Let me get back to following this, and then I won't mess up. Okay. In the buyback feature and staking points that you earn for staking it. ICOSA doesn't have a max staking like Hex does. So what ICOSA has instead is minimum staking days for a max token amount. Another thing I was going to show you was how you can figure out that token amount. But what you can do is just go to Etherscan and look at the supply levels, and you can ask in the Telegram chat, or you can ask me, one of the guys, you know, what the levels are for staking. I wish I could show you guys, my screen, and we could we could be a little more efficient here. Because I'm gonna have to skip some stuff. You can only make one ICOSA stake per wallet, but you can make as many stakes as you're comfortable with. Like if you have enough ICOSA that you want to make a bunch of 180-day stakes with numerous addresses on one wallet, you may do that. You don't have to end your stake like you do with a hex stake. You can just let it continue on. But if you emergency end your stake, you'll pay a heavy penalty, and it's graduated. Like if you complete 25% of your commitment to that stake and you end it, you'll pay a 75% penalty on your yield and your principal. But EESing might be profitable in certain circumstances, like right before a big day. If we know a bunch of HSIs are going to liquidation, say Sunday, and those are probably going to be liquidated. If there's good enough, juicy enough T shares that people are going to want to buy those, it might be wise to take a 1% penalty on those, on an ICOSA stake. So your share of the pool determines how much yield. Your share of the pool determines your yield, which is determined by your stake points. Your pool share will go down as other people enter the pool, but your stake points remain the same. If you have a stake ending and you're deciding whether to end it or not, this is how you can figure out whether you should end it or not. Add your yield plus your principal and divide it by the current T-share rate. And if your stake points go up, it may make sense to restake. Does that make sense, guys? So you can add to your principal. It won't affect your previous principal. I always keep one ICOSA and one Hedron in my wallets so that I can adjust the minimum staking days if I want to. And that's worked out a couple of times. You don't have to add an entire ICOSA or an entire Hedron. I think you can add about a 16th or an 18th of one. But when you do that, whenever you do add to your stake, it resets the clock. So, and any additional principal is calculated at the new share rate. But the old, you keep your old stake points. There are instances where you could reduce your stake days by adding principal. You just need to keep an eye on supply. So how do we get yield in ICOSA? Well, the yield is all the daily burned Hedron divided by the share rate, and it goes into all three different pools. So we have what's called the liquidation marketplace, where the HSIs go, which I'll get into. And every day there are HSIs being liquidated, and we liquidate those with Hedron. That Hedron is burnt, and all of that burnt Hedron is the yield for the ICOSA staking pool. And that yield is the daily burned Hedron divided by the share rate. See, there's that share rate again. Share rate goes up, yield goes down. So how do you get ICOSA? Well, like I said, you can send an HSI to the contract and get it that way. You can swap Ethereum or other assets on it on Uniswap or Matcha XYZ. Right now, ICOSA is about 4x below its ceiling, so it's more profitable at the moment to buy ICOSA. When you do send an HSI, the contract immediately takes an advance on all of the Hedron, sends that Hedron to the Hedron staking pool, and sends you the ICOSA, and it'll show up right in your wallet. I mean, it's immediate. It's cool. The HSI is then let to go into default for non-payment after 90 days, and it's available for auction. We'll discuss that. Here's another way you can get ICOSA. Stake Hedron. So when you are doing your stakes, consider doing a ladder. You could make, for example, 12 90-day stakes and end one every month. And whatever, you can do whatever you want with the yield. You could compound it back into the principal, restake it, or you could take some profit. And as we do go into this bull market, I recommend taking some profits. Because if you're like me and bought the top and got all in at the top, well, we learned a lesson. I did. And we're not going to talk much about the Hedron pool because it's basically the same as the ICOSA staking pool. It's less competitive, or more competitive. I think there's a lot more people in that pool. The yield in this pool is the daily advanced Hedron from the HSIs sent to the contract. So that Hedron that the contract takes that advances from the HSIs is sent to the Hedron stakers. So right now the price is 47 times below the ceiling. And why is that not depressing? Because that just means that more Hedron is going to be burnt at the liquidations because because it's abundant, people will spend more of it to liquidate HSIs. The HSI, the Hedron staking side has the same staking and staking pool share principles that the ICOSA side has. And the last asset in the Trinity here is, aside from HEX, is WATSA. WATSA was a 14-day opportunity to buy financial NFTs at the beginning of ICOSA. It's now closed. But the WATSA pool gets a copy of the ICOSA that goes to the ICOSA and the Hedron pool. It's like a game of chicken. A WATSA is an NFT that can be exchanged for the inherent ICOSA at any time. But when exchanged, that WATSA is burnt and everyone else's share of the pool increases. There is opportunity for everyone to buy a WATSA because you can find them on OpenSea. What you do is go into the Telegram group. A link will be in this. We have a Telegram group all about WATSAs, and just ask the guys what's a good deal. Describe a good deal for a WATSA and get a WATSA. I would recommend everybody have one, at least one, more if you can. We do have some big days coming up. April 23rd, there was a gentleman recently about 5 weeks ago, that was sending 50 T-share HSI stakes to the ICOSA contract, all in one day. So April 23rd is going to be a big day. And that's something that you might want to keep an eye on. Why? Because if you have ICOSA laying around, you just haven't gotten around to staking it, you might want to do it before the 23rd. Or if you have a stake ending on the 25th, maybe you're willing to take a 2% penalty and end that stake a little bit earlier. Just back it up a little bit and catch that yield coming in. Because 50 T-share hex stakes, A, they'll burn quite a bit of Hedron. B, because they're juicy. People want those. There's another date to keep in mind. August 10th. Right now, there are 42,000 ICOSA being sent to the ICOSA staking pool every single day. 42,000. The first 90 days of ICOSA, that's the only yield we had, was that 42,000. That ends August 10th. August 10th. I want to mark it down. We're averaging, I looked in Hex model, and we're averaging 210 ICOSA per day, including the big days. And that includes that 42,000 of seeded liquidity. Here's another one to keep in mind, and I don't know exactly why it's not. I guess for the ICOSA staking pool is what I'm concerned about. Godwell's stake of 5.7 trillion Hedron. It matures August 30th. Check this out. That stake has earned 6.6 million ICOSA, or an average of 34,000 a day. If that average continues, until August 30th, he'll have 12 million ICOSA in yield in that stake. State state supply is currently only 34 million. 12 million in yield, 34 million staked presently. So he could potentially, I mean, if he took all that yield and staked it on the ICOSA side, he could dilute the pool by about 35%. Ouch. But there are some that think he might use it for providing liquidity. And he has a history, I believe, of being fairly benevolent. So I don't know. But August 30th is a date that I'm going to be plugging his address into Ethoscan and seeing what he does with that thing. And then there's the last date is November 5th. There's another wave of seeded liquidity going into the ICOSA pool, and that's 8,300 every day. And that ends on November 5th. So if there was ever a time to get into ICOSA, stake ICOSA, and stake Hedron, it's now. Because now is the time where I think we'll be looking back even 6 months or a year from now and be wishing we could have done more, gotten more in. So I was going to show you guys auctions, but I can't show you anything. Let me just scan this list. And because the links for practically everything down below here is going to be in that, that I'm going to give you a link to. Sloth's site is excellent. If you haven't seen it, look into Hedron. He has an auction calculator that's really cool. You can only use Hedron to liquidate auctions. The minimum bid starts at the advanced Hedron, so it's always very small. Auctions run for 24 hours. If a bidder's outbid in the last 5 minutes, the auction is extended for 5 minutes. There are thousands of HSIs waiting to be liquidated. They just need somebody to start them. Why are they sitting there unstarted? A, gas is high and people don't want to pay the fees to start those stakes. And B, they don't got a lot of T-shares in them. So people aren't as interested in liquidating them. Is that a problem? Temporary, because those will go. As the value of HEX goes up, the value of a T-share goes up, and into this bull cycle, gas is going to go up too. But what's going to happen? We're going to have another bear market, right? Those things may not go until the next bear market. They may sit there. Well, let's hope not. I'd like to see them go because I want that yield. But they will go. And the biggest ones go fastest. Use caution in bidding. We've seen several people add an extra zero in the amount of Hedron they're willing to liquidate an HSI with, and that's a little sad. So I heard a pro tip recently: copy the amount of the highest bidder, copy that amount and paste it in as your amount, and then adjust the numbers carefully according to that number. Don't add any extras. If you do win an auction, it is sent immediately to your wallet. If you lose an auction, you simply have paid some gas, but you get all of your Hedron back into your wallet. It's cool. More information. HEX, ICOSA, Hedron, and WATSA will all be copied onto the new Pulse chain that Richard Hart is developing. Follow HEX News on Telegram for updates, and also Richard Hart on Twitter. Cryptographics wrote a book about all of this: HEX, ICOSA, Hedron, and crypto in general. I've glanced at it, but I hear it's very thorough. If you're already an expert in the system, apparently you don't need it. But if you're new, I wish I had a book like that. I was information hungry when this ICOSA system thing opened up. I couldn't sleep for like 3 nights when I learned about this. If you want one-on-one coaching, see Cryptographics or Crypto Sloth. And I have handouts, which includes an ICOSA and Hedron per stake point calculator, a supply to stake estimator, so you can plug in the current supply for ICOSA and Hedron, and it'll tell you how many, the most that you can stake for a certain day period. a ceiling price calculator for ICOSA and Hedron, and some tools. Crypto Sloth's site, Dev Huey's site, so you can monitor ICOSA and Hedron and HSIs. Stake Hex Today, where you can monitor your Hex stakes. Hex Daily Stats, so you can find the current T-share rate. Hexfire.io, so you can keep an eye on where the T-share rate is going, which I was going to show you guys, which I will next time I do this. The ICOSA DApp, which is app.icosa.pro. Aurochs Wallet, Trust Token, which I just learned about, and I've made an account, and that's it. But I hear it's the way to go for on ramping and off ramping. And uniswap.com. And then I recommend a cryptographics book and some videos. Hex Explained, T-Shares Explained, ICOSA Explained, Hedron Explained, and some channels. Maxim Broadcast and Crypto Sloth. If you guys can think of any others I should add to this list, let me know. But those are two that come to mind. And of course, Telegram groups. Why? Because that's where you can get you can interact with guys that are in this stuff all day. If you can get past all their gifts and jokes and personal stories, the guys know what they're talking about. Mostly. So join the Hex group to find out more about Hex. ICOSA. We got a good community there. Hex Security to learn more about security. WhatsApp, the one I told you about, and Hex News. That is Richard Hart's, and you'll find out about Pulse Chain and other Hex news there. And then follow Richard Hart, Alex McWhorter, Dev Huey, Crypto Sloth, and Maxim Broadcast on Twitter. And then I have some diagrams I was going to show you guys about the different directions you can send your yield. It's a little messy when it's on paper. It looks better on computer, but you see how you can send it different directions? And there are two other ones. So it's cool to see that, it's cool to see and just to think, what am I going to do with this yield when I have ICOSA stake that I'm earning ICOSA and Hedron. What am I going to do with the Hedron? Swap it for ICOSA and so I have more, so I can stake more ICOSA? Or am I going to put it over on the Hedron side and stake it there? Well, you got to think about these things, So, and because you could literally put all of your yield into ICOSA or into Hedron, or you could take it all out and put it into Watsa too. I didn't think about that. That's a good one. That's it, man. Any questions? Did I miss anything? What should I include next time? Should I relax a little bit? Should I practice in the mirror? Be playing, guys. Go ahead. Got any questions? I see you guys in the Telegram chat. Mudhog, are you a new guy? Staking Hedron gained a shark a couple days ago. Now there are 31 sharks. Okay. So a shark would be 100 billion Hedron, I believe. Wow. Wow, interesting. Yeah, not new. Okay, cool. Hey guys, I will send you a link to this in a private chat, Mudhog, Mango Junkie. And if you want to, just because I was going to give this to everybody that showed up, I think we'll do this again next week and just practice some more. And if you want to give me any feedback, you can do it in the Telegram chat or right now. I appreciate you guys hanging out, really do. It's kind of a test bed. Try to figure out, yes, the screen share thing. Yeah, for sure. 119 billion hex shark that minted and then staked. Oh, he minted from his hex stakes. Yeah, it's interesting. So, funny story. There's a guy in the Telegram chat, and I won't tell on him. He's not in there a lot, but I've talked to him on the phone. He's a pretty big hex player, from what I understand. And at the beginning of ICOSA, he was private chatting me about what's going on over in ICOSA. He was too embarrassed because I think he told me he was dumping his headroom, and I think he was too embarrassed to go in and uh, start interacting with this new project. And but he's in there now, and it's all good. But it was kind of funny. He's like testing the waters, and it turned out he's all in now. So, and that's the point of this, is to kind of get people acclimated, and you cut down on questions in the chat. And if we can cut down on questions, get people, up to speed, then that's beneficial. Hey man, 36 minutes. I really wanted to do this in less than an hour. Did have to restart and didn't get to show you anything, but this is easy to do in under 1 hour. Hey, thanks guys. Appreciate you hanging out, and staying. That's great. Feedback's welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to end it. Have a good night, guys. Ciao.